My brother-in-law thought it was funny to place a tarantula on me, knowing my fear. Now I'm expected to apologize and replace the tarantula I accidentally killed. I, 30 female, have had a deep-seated fear of spiders since I was a kid. When I was about 10 years old, I got bitten by a venomous spider while on a trip to a remote area with my parents. It was one of the most terrifying experiences of my life. I genuinely thought I was going to die. Obviously, I survived, but this incident left me with a severe fear of spiders. I've never been able to shake that feeling, and to this day, even seeing a spider sends me into a panic. My husband's family is fully aware of this, including my brother-in-law, 35 male. Recently, my husband, 32 male, and I were visiting my brother-in-law's house for a family gathering. His son, a pre-tween male, had just gotten a new pet tarantula, and while I knew about it, I made it clear that I did not want to be near the spider. Everyone seemed to understand, or so I thought. At some point during the visit, my brother-in-law thought it would be funny to prank me. Without warning, he placed his son's tarantula on my lap. The moment I realized what was happening, I went into full-blown panic mode. I screamed, slapped the spider off my lap, and bolted to the other side of the room. I was shaking, crying, and couldn't catch my breath. In the chaos, I knocked the spider to the ground, and in my frantic attempt to get away, I trampled it. The poor spider didn't survive. My brother-in-law immediately started shouting at me to calm down, telling me that I'd killed his son's pet. He was furious and accused me of overreacting and being careless. His son was crying, and the whole situation was a nightmare. My husband tried to defend me, explaining that I didn't do it on purpose and that my reaction was out of sheer terror, but my brother-in-law wasn't having it. He told us to leave, and later that evening, he texted us saying that we owed his son an apology and that we should replace the tarantula. Now I'm stuck in a difficult situation. On one hand, I feel horrible that his son lost his pet because of my actions, even if they were unintentional. But on the other hand, I'm angry and hurt that my brother-in-law would prank me with something he knew I was terrified of. Should I apologize and replace the spider, even though the situation wouldn't have happened if I hadn't been pranked in the first place? I don't want to cause more tension in the family, but I also feel like my brother-in-law's prank was cruel and completely disregarded my fear. Am I the idiot for accidentally killing my nephew's pet tarantula? Not the idiot. Your brother knew about your severe phobia and still chose to prank you, which led to the unfortunate outcome. It's reasonable to feel horrible for his son, but the responsibility lies with the adult who instigated the situation. Maybe offer a heartfelt apology to the nephew, but let the brother-in-law understand the gravity of his actions. Disagree. First, I honestly can't even call it a phobia. Phobias are irrational fears. Hers is very real and rational since she almost died from a spider. OP, both you and your nephew should receive an apology from your stupid and mean brother-in-law. Once this is done, he must replace the pet on his dime. And at this point you should stress, again, that this is all on his father and you hope that he will outgrow him in maturity very fast. Poor kid is stuck with an idiot father. I feel bad for him. If I was a kid and someone killed my pet because of my father's terrible parenting, I would be inconsolable, and I would be so grateful if the person helped get me a new pet. But you definitely don't owe anything to that family. It would just be a charitable thing to do. You don't need to replace the spider. You need to replace your brother-in-law. Also, very classy of the careless idiot to accuse his victim of being careless. What did he think? That you were just faking being scared of spiders so you could look interesting? Send your brother-in-law a quote for 5 therapy sessions since he reignited your fears and brought your trauma to the surface in a horrific way for laughs. I can't stress enough how much you aren't the idiot. Shame on your brother-in-law for expecting you to owe his son an apology. He should be the one apologizing to his son. I'm a teen male, a foster kid. I was taken from my mom 3 years ago because she wasn't doing well mentally, and it wasn't considered safe for me to live with her. My current foster parents are the ones I hope to stay with until I turn 18. They're the best I've had, and I've bounced around a lot, especially in my first year, but something has come up and now I'm wondering. So, my name's Ryder. My foster parents don't outright say they hate it, but I think I saw my foster mom cringe at my name before. My foster dad asked me when we first met what my middle name was, and I guess that wasn't a name they liked either. So they call me Ryan. I think sometimes they try to say my name's Ryan instead of Ryder. A month ago, they asked if I'd ever consider changing my name when I turned 18 to something more sophisticated. They even said Ryan could be an idea since it's so close and they share a nickname. I told them I liked my names and didn't ever think of changing them. They didn't say any more then, but a week later they told me they'd thought a lot about my future, and they worried my name would be something that held me back. My foster mom said it sounded so lewd when said fast, and they felt I deserved better than that. I told them it didn't bother me, and I liked that my mom had chosen my name. That was the end of it again. And then last week they brought it up again, and they showed me these articles on the importance of a name. of naming babies for adult life instead of being cute or fun as kids. They told me they couldn't make me do it, which I knew, but they would like me to strongly consider it so I could have the chance at a professional future and be taken seriously. They said they would hate to see me passed over for jobs because of my name, and they say they feel like a much older me won't find the name as cool as I do now. They asked if I trusted them, and I said yeah, and they said if I did, I should really think about what I could change my name to, which would be a better name for adult me. I told them I was really never going to be okay with that. I felt like it was a waste of time and would get me stuck with some name I wouldn't like. They asked me why I was so okay with dismissing the future me and why I could not try when they were doing all they could to help me. It really got to them that I was still so against it. Am I the idiot? Edit, I don't want to risk being removed from this house. I don't want to bring my social worker into it. I don't want to start anything that could get me removed because when I say they're the better foster parents, it's not even close. I'm not going through the crappy ones again. I'd prefer to just deal with this name issue, not the idiot. While something must be said about the trend of people naming their kids something a bit outlandish, Ryder is not an unheard of name. I've worked with Ryders who are in their 30s. Truthfully, this sounds more like them wanting to have the experience of naming a kid than listening to your wants. All you need to say to them is that you're content with Ryder, and if it poses an issue in the future, you'll deal with it. I'm not sure if it's about them wanting to name a kid. They said Ryder is lewd for heck's sake. It sounds more like severe prudishness has taken the wheel. Ryder, no need to, you're fine. It's perfectly normal. Plenty of other people have that name too. Oh, sweetie, my heart aches for you. I know that you're so scared to be moved because they're the best you've had as foster parents, but what they're doing is wrong. Full stop. Your social worker is there to protect you, and they are being completely out of line. You're much too old for them to even have this conversation with you. And if you feel threatened that you'll be put out because of your name, then they are not good people. You have to tell your social worker. They must know the types of things they're doing. This is wrong, and they know better than to do this, and no one is telling, which is why they keep doing it. We've been together for 8 months and officially 4. I love him honestly, and everything was great. We met each other's family and friends and the whole thing. On Saturday, I met with him and his friends, and he introduced me to his best friend from college. Let's call her Karen. She came 1.5 hours late, and he refused to order until she was there. I wasn't very hungry, so I wasn't bothered at first, but then she came without apologies or anything. She just nodded hi when he introduced us. The other 2 friends were with their girlfriends and weren't very glad to have waited before dinner. Her explanation was that she got caught up in a game. We're all way in our 30s. Then she got a bit intoxicated and was all over my boyfriend, and the first time she talked to me was to tell me, I hope you aren't like the other girls and get intimidated by our friendship. I was like, what? I don't get intimidated by other women. She insisted that she was the reason my boyfriend and all his exes broke up. My boyfriend then interjected, agreeing with her. I asked how so, and he said jealousy, and someone has given me an ultimatum, and I would never choose an insecure girl that I've known for 8 months over a friend who I've known for years. She was giggling the whole time. I was a bit yuck, and I said women don't usually have problems with other women. You speak about this happening with multiple women. What are the odds they were all wrong when there's a common denominator? She started laughing and saying I was just like them, and my boyfriend, like I've seen him for the first time in his pathetic form, said, well, yeah, this goes for us too. If you make that ultimatum, then it's over for us too. I just said he needn't worry because I was better than playing pick-me in my 30s, so I'm bowing out. I left the restaurant and transferred my part of the bill to him. Now he said I was the idiot for breaking up without a discussion and to do it in front of his friends like that was embarrassing. His friends thought I did great, and they didn't think I was the idiot at all, and they were all laughing and making burn sounds when I left, so he found it embarrassing. I know for a fact that I will continue being friends with their girlfriends because I've known them for 8 months now and we like each other. The other thing is that I was the idiot for giving up on us so easily, but I disagree. I usually don't give up on people I respect. His and her clownery just made me think it wasn't worth one more second, but he said it was wrong because he loves me and I love him. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Seeing people stand up for themselves and knowing their worth is refreshing. Your boyfriend immediately showed what a loser he was over her, and ain't nobody got time for that. They belong to each other, Opie. Good job for having respect for yourself. I wonder how many girlfriends he'll lose before he wakes the heck up. Probably way too many more. Yeah, I applaud this, Opie. She pulled his crap out right then and there, and the only thing the boyfriend is sorry about is that his ego got bruised. Dude is going to be single for a long time. His BF is definitely why no one will want to be with him, or else he'll make someone else miserable when he marries them because beef gets titched to someone else. My brother had planned to attend a live concert with his wife for quite some time. If I remember correctly, he bought the tickets a year in advance. Throughout the whole week before the concert, he would keep telling me how much fun they had at the previous concert they attended, and how he was looking forward to the next one. On the day of the concert, my wife and I visited my parents when my brother and wife arrived to drop their kids off at my parents' house. My wife and my sister-in-law started to talk about the concert, and how fun it would be when my wife asked if we could tag along. I immediately told my wife that I couldn't go due to some work-related tasks, but she insisted and said she could go by herself, which I was okay with. So they looked for the available tickets and none were in their section. So she started to ask if any VIP tickets were available, which they were. At this point, my sister-in-law started criticizing my brother because he didn't buy VIP tickets for them. Because of this, my brother got upset and said he could try to sell their tickets and purchase a VIP ticket so she could go with my wife. However, the tickets he bought were not transferable. After my brother and sister-in-law argued, my brother said he didn't want to go anymore and that my wife could take his place. At that point, I privately told my wife not to go because she would be inserting herself into their relationship, but she ignored my suggestion, bought my brother's ticket, and went to the concert with my sister-in-law. So when she arrived back home, I called her out for inserting her sign in my brother's marriage. Still, she insisted she'd done nothing wrong and we were arguing about this matter before we knew it. Soon after, my wife called my sister-in-law and they concluded they'd done nothing wrong as my brother didn't want to go after they'd argued. A few days later, I spoke with my brother and he said he had a bunch of problems with his wife before the concert, but that the events that occurred during the concert made everything worse, i.e., his wife preferred to attend the concert with her cousin and not him. The next day, I relayed this information to my wife. I explained that she'd done nothing wrong until she accepted the ticket and took my brother's spot. I explained that none of the issues my brother and sister-in-law were going through were her fault, but she made a mistake by attending the concert. She again insists she did nothing wrong. She claims that my brother offered her the ticket and she simply bought it from him. Additionally, she claims she helped my brother out since he would have lost the money for one, possibly two tickets. Lastly, she thinks that I'm the idiot for calling her out and creating a huge problem out of nothing. Am I the idiot or am I taking this the wrong way because my brother is affected? Not the idiot. If your wife can't see what she did wrong, you will probably have problems in the future. Only a massive jerk would look at that situation and come up with that solution. She caused the issue by trying to get them to change their tickets in the first place. No tickets in their section. Oh well, and that should have been it. She instigated that argument by causing your brother to try to accommodate her, which at that late stage was pretty much impossible. Are you sure her cousin didn't put her up to it? Something about the whole thing seems off. Not many people are that blind to the feelings of others, unless they want to be. I find it strange that your wife, being as close as she is, didn't know they were having issues. Truthfully, I think this was a setup. The concert was scheduled a year in advance and has been mentioned several times, and Opie's wife waits for the day of the concert, when the other couple comes to drop off the kids before going, to invite herself and buy tickets. No, it's too big not to be calculated in advance between the cousins. Opie needs to remove the tree to reveal the forest. By the way, I wonder if Opie's wife decided conveniently to visit the parents that day. My husband, 52, and myself, 50, have been married for 31 years. We purchased his parents' farm several years ago and paid for it with a mortgage. We've since paid that mortgage off. We also built our forever home on the farm, which is also paid for, and we raise cattle on the farm. This family is always asking for help. Its sisters, specifically, and a couple of his nephews. For context, we took care of his father, mother, and sister with Down syndrome when nobody else in his family would take care of them. We were the only ones of his siblings who still had young children at home, but we felt that if we didn't take care of them, the state was going to step in and take them away. In my family, you take care of your family, so we took them in and never looked back. However, I think his family resented us for this, and somehow it feels like they're owed something because we own the family farm. For some reason, my husband thinks he must take care of his other sisters, even though there's nothing wrong with them except they have low IQs. I've inherited a decent amount of money from my parents. My husband doesn't know the specifics and is upset that I won't disclose the amount. He doesn't have access to the account. He wants me to take some of the money and build a house on our farm, his family farm, for his sisters to live in so they won't have to pay rent anymore or live in apartments. He wants us to pay their property taxes and insurance because they won't be able to afford that, but they can pay their utilities. He doesn't want to charge them rent. Why should I use my inheritance that my parents work their butts off to earn and pass on to me, so that my husband's lazy sisters can sit in a brand new house on their family's farm and never have to pay property tax, insurance, or rent? I feel like this is my money and I shouldn't have to spend it on his family. I want to put most of it in trust funds or our 2 children so I can pass it on to them. I'm seriously considering taking my inheritance, getting a divorce, and living happily ever after. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Use the money for your children or for yourself. Navigate it with your husband, and maybe never tell him the amount. You definitely shouldn't support his sisters, as your children and yourself are your top priorities. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know how much money is split while married, but I'm pretty sure it has to be your money in most jurisdictions. It sounds like his family are leeches. You need to make necessary legal arrangements for your kids, if that's what you choose, or remember other members of your side of the family. Your husband isn't on your side. That's going to be an ongoing marriage issue. This always happens when any large sum of money gets provided to only one side. You might be seeing the real side of him at this point. It's obvious that your future and those of your kids are apparently secondary in his mind.